friends. I'm here at CrossFit Nottingham to speak with Lucy Campbell, and I can't wait. What I can wait for is the WOD we're about to do, a 20-minute EMOM. Not so excited about that. I'm a little sore from last night's workout, so we'll see. Let's go. Today I have Lucy Campbell with me, and she's a part of the Strong Women series that I've been doing, and I'm delighted to get her today. If you can hear me over the cafe noise in the background, I really hope you can, but we're going to kick off with some questions and get to know Lucy.
So at the moment I am a CrossFit coach at CrossFit Nottingham, and I'm also an athlete, basically coaching as much as I can to give myself the time to train. I'm aware that I'm still quite young in the sport, so I'm 24, just turned 24, and I've been doing it for 2 years. Based on my progression, I like to think that I have a good potential in the sport, and I'm also aware of the fact that to get to the next level it takes a lot. I graduated in December with a Master's in Sports Psychology, did a undergraduate in sports science both at Loughborough, part-time blogger, so go check out my website if you fancy that.
Blogger, not vlogger yet.
No, never. You don't need to see this face account. That's basically just a hobby at the moment. It's been very therapeutic writing about experiences that I've had, but then also like linking them to sports psychology. Did one on athlete identity and that kind of thing. It would be cool to if there was a future in that, but just doing it for a hobby really at the moment, writing about what I fancy. Especially the ones that I'm trying to do at the moment and going forward, where they are a little bit more informative and then making science accessible. I then have a responsibility to make sure that I'm checking the literature and I'm checking the research and making sure that what I am saying is, you know, relevant, applicable, up to date. It's kind of why I like doing it, because it keeps me involved in the area rather than just being like, oh, this is what I learned on my course like 2 years ago. I've had like three different kind of sports where I've felt certain ways, hence the body image series, like starting from gymnastics and then into swimming and then like hockey and then coming into CrossFit. Because it was so personal, it was easier to write about than it is to talk about. I could just write the way that I was feeling, and originally like it was all going to be one blog on body image, and then I was like, holy shit, this is going to be so long, no one is going to listen, no one is going to stay and read all that. It's something that I found easy to write about, and I think people could relate to. People aren't seeing people that are relatable to them.
I've written, we bonded over our fear of booty shorts.
Oh, I hate booty shorts. My butt eats them up.
Another thing we have in common, we both have a type piriformis.
Oh, ooh, yes.
I'm surprised I'm not sat on a tennis ball right now, to be fair.
I met Cheska at this TLM Zach George Tenerife camp. We just got talking, got on really well, and then when we got back, she messaged me and was like, oh, how do you feel about working with X Endurance? And I was like, sounds good. One of the key things for me about the brand is that they check their products with Informed Sport.
Yeah.
They obviously kind of abide by that and promote that. That shows me that that's a brand that I would want to associate myself with. There's a huge area in science that women aren't accounted for. The deficits in taking into account female anatomy and physiology in scientific studies, because basically they're lazy for accounting for the menstrual cycle. And like for my undergrads, I was actively encouraged not to have females in it for that reason, because I would have to try and standardise for the menstrual cycle. So there's a certain type of drug for heart conditions that for a man reduces their risk of the condition, but for a woman actually has the potential to increase it because of the hormonal difference. In like cars, all of the dummies that they test with are male dummies. When an airbag explodes on a passenger, they don't take into account like boobs, basically.
Yeah.
Just stuff like that. This is like a whole half of the population that you're not accounting for. There's a lot more to be done for females in science, but for females in sport. And it's not that men don't have like body image issues, but I think you have to take into account like the gender differences in like a male-female coach-athlete relationship. And that goes both ways, like for a female coach with a male athlete or for a male coach with a female athlete, there are going to be certain things that can be quite difficult to talk about. And there's not a huge amount of evidence to show that a certain body weight or body fat percentage is directly relational to a certain performance. Unless I put on 10 kilos and become an absolute heifer and like overnight, then maybe we've got a bit of an issue. But there is nothing to be gained from overly focusing on that sort of thing. Because if I put on weight, but my times were coming down in the pool, they wouldn't think twice about it. No. But if I put on weight and my times are going up, it would be the reason that my times are going up. Yeah. It's a very interesting area, but like interesting in an unfortunate way as well. So my very first competition was Castle Games up in Middlesbrough, June last year, and then Battle for Middle Ground was at the end of June last year. I went up with my sister. I had to stop her on one occasion from pointing people out to me, because she'd be like, oh my god, like look at that girl, look at her shoulders or something like that. And I was like, Anna, you're not helping me in this situation. Like I'm really nervous as it is, let alone looking at all these other people. And honestly, I think 50% of the time, the people that she pointed out were in like the scaled categories. And there's nothing up against scaled athletes, but it was like,
she's being scaleless. It's not being nice to scaled athletes.
They look great, but they're not performing at the level that I'm performing at. It was a bit of a shock to me when I realised that. I was expecting them to be an RX athlete because like for me, they look the part, so they should perform the part. It was a nice surprise that wasn't the case. Like I very much felt like I was the odd one out in RX because I didn't have like these really defined muscles and like I didn't have a six-pack. Then when I went to Battle for Middle Ground and there's even more categories, but I'd like learnt my lesson. I saw these people, then I was like, no, don't look at them, don't be drawn into that again. But it's difficult, like when you have people that are standing next to you, like abs for days, will happily take the top off in a comp scenario and just be wearing booty shorts and a crop top. I do not have the confidence to do that. Yeah, okay, you've got some people that look incredible, but if they can't do what you're trying to do, it's inconsequential what they look like. Again, it's one of those kind of battles in my head where I don't need to justify what I look like if my performance speaks for itself. I think that's kind of the key thing, is that for me, it is performance focused. Yeah, okay, the games athletes all look incredible. There's a few anomalies that don't look like the rest. Yeah. That's refreshing to see, that they don't have like block abs and like huge shoulders. Laura Horvath.
That's it.
Yeah. And Gabby Magala as well. She's not small, she's quite a big athlete. She's just built. And I think it's nice to see those people excelling, competing at that top level, but proving that you don't have to be 2% body fat if that doesn't work for you. If you're performing well and you hold a little bit more body fat, then you're not being held back by that. But it's a bit of a a kind of battle to keep trying to justify that in your head. You're doing it to perform well, but equally trying to battle what everyone else looks like. It is hard. Honestly, that moment was probably after Lone Wolves. I did a comp because I felt like I was starting to get to grips with the RX movements. I wanted to compete when I thought that I could not be really shit. So came second in the final. I don't know how.
Because you're amazing.
And then ended up finishing 5th, I think, overall. And at this point, I'd already done the qualifiers for Battle for Middle Ground. I'd found out a few weeks before that that I had qualified for the elite category for Battle for Middle Ground, and I qualified in 4th. I won 2 of the qualifiers and then came second in the 3rd one, and then came like 26th in the strength one, because you can see where my deficits are. I was tentative about entering the RX comp for Battle for Middle Ground because they were like, oh, I need to be able to barbell cycle 55, and I was like, God, that's quite heavy. And then I was just like, no, I'm just going to do it and see what happens, because loads of people from my box were doing it. The Lone Wolves weekend started, and I won the first event, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I just kind of tried to very much stay in my lane with it, because like every workout had stuff that I wasn't hugely comfortable with. Yeah. And so I was just like, right, I'll see how it goes. Didn't check the leaderboard until like after the end of day 1, and saw that I was ahead, and I was like, God, like, better not mess this up in day 2. Day 2 also went really well. And then it wasn't until after that I sort of found out a little bit more about the people that I had been competing against that weekend. This is a good start, and also the people that had like won the event before me, and I was like, shit, like this is kind of cool. That was kind of the point for me, really, that I was like, let's do it. The injury came at a good and a bad time. No competitions, so it was good, but equally a time where I was overly focused on my training. I didn't have a lot of other stuff to do. I live on my own, so that was really hard. Being able to train was the only thing that like I actually had to do every day. So then not being able to do that in the way that I wanted to, and then at the same time it taking forever to heal, has been like really hard, because everything that I do is related to training. That's a bit sad, I know, to say. I like to think that if I wasn't trying to focus on being the best athlete I can be, I would be using my degree a bit more, like in the job that I do or whatever. And I love coaching, and so it's nothing against coaching, but I also like coaching because it gives me the time to train. Even like demoing stuff can be quite difficult. If I have to demo bar muscle ups or even toes to bar, anything that puts my back into that extended position can be quite hard to demo. And so it affects my job in that way. Plus then I'm then coaching people to do things that I can't do. It has been really quite difficult. I've had quite an easy ride in CrossFit in that sense. I am very lucky that I pick up movements quite quickly generally, and I think that just comes from gymnastics and like the awareness of my body and the way my body is moving. That being said, toughest movement to learn either has to be strict handstand push-ups or strict gymnastics. I find really, really difficult. I'm just a big gal. Or ring muscle ups. Because I wasn't really taught it. Me and my friend, one of the guys from BFG, were doing Battle for Middle Ground pairs, and it was either I do a ring muscle up and I have to hold at the top of the ring muscle up so that Dan can do his deadlifts, or I do 25 deadlifts at 100. I'm not the best at deadlifts, so I didn't really fancy that. And so he was like, right, give it a go, see what happens. And I did it, and I caught so low. It was another situation where I was like, I am here, like what is happening? And you can see in the video where I get, like, I think it must have been like my second ring muscle up to get into the hold. I push up and I have this massive grin on my face at the top of it, because I'm like, oh my God, I did it again, like this is mad. I thought ring muscle ups would take me years. I felt like I had no idea what I had to do to get up there. Any strict gymnastics is hard for me. Apart from toast bar, they're fine, I can do those.
What does the future have in store?
I would like to qualify for an individual sanctional. I think I should have backed myself a little bit more in the Open this year, because I would have qualified as the 10th Brit had I registered for SID, but I didn't think I'd be anywhere near that level yet. So I'd like to qualify for an individual sanctional, but not just like go there to compete. Like I want to go there to compete rather than just be like, oh, it's fun that I'm here.
Yeah.
In like the non-CrossFit side of things, I'm doing my performance lifestyle advisor qualification in the next couple of months. Hopefully by the new year I will be qualified in that, and I'd like to start a company that basically supports athletes who are like just below the elite level, so just below the level at which you would start to get like nutrition support, physio, performance lifestyle support, in order to then help them make that next step, because then it just starts to become this kind of huge differential between me being here and like just about making it versus then taking that next step and then getting all the support, and that gap widens. So I'd like to try and like infiltrate that at the kind of sub-elite pre-funding level to help athletes get into the next level.
Lovely. Nice. Lucy, thank you so much for coming onto the
It's been
channel.
fun.
I hope this is the start of something, and I really hope you get to see this face more, the shining star. She's the future of CrossFit, and maybe I might actually work out next time.
We can lift some weights.
Yeah. So I'm just back from CrossFit Nottingham. Thank you for having me, Lucy. It's been great to get to know you and talk about body image in the Strong Women series. Thank you for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please smash that like button. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. Hard for me to say. And ring my bell, ring my bell. Yeah, I just did that. And if you haven't checked out the other videos in the Strong Women series, we've got Ree Pearson, Helen Nutter and Sarah Potter, and Lucy Campbell will be joining them. If you do have any suggestions for any strong women in the UK who you think I should go and interview, please pop them in the comments below. And any other comments you've got for me, any feedback, whack it in the comments. I'd love to hear it. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Stay safe. Some beautiful dance moves you're gonna have to do here. It's like contemporary. And her career started to progress after a vlog with Sophie Grogan.
Getting our stretch on.
Oh.
It's like David Attenborough.
How did you know?
I'm blushing.
Yes, you should be.
You
You should be glad. It's very good.
Because it's very noisy now, isn't it? Do you want me to repeat any of that? What was I saying before I went off topic? Cool. CrossFit is cool.
Cool, man. Come join us. We're cool people too.
Cool.